Hello everyone and welcome to the 4th generation 2020 Toyota Highlander. This is Toyota's midsize 3-row SUV, and for 2020 it's now based on the global platform, the TNGA, which is underpinning pretty much everything that Toyota is building these days. And this new Highlander is really quite excellent. I'm going to spoil the ending for you already. There's really no big concerns that I have regarding this vehicle. There's only a few small irritations here and there, but not enough that I think could turn you away from buying this vehicle. The one I'm testing out today is the hybrid version in the limited trim. Limited used to be the top trim for the hybrid. Now it's the second best. If you want to go up a little bit and get some extra technology like a 12.3-inch touchscreen, heads-up display, and a few other nice features, then you're going to have to go for the Platinum. The 4th generation looks significantly different to the car it replaces, although it's only about 2.5 inches longer, ever so slightly wider, and yet provides the same ground clearance and overall height. The striking exterior design alone is, in my mind, the best looking product that Toyota has built for quite some time. The interior, with the interesting color combination that I have in my vehicle, really does spice up the space enough, and Toyota, I think, is sick and tired of people calling their vehicles dull and boring. This model provided to me today is going to demonstrate everything that I think you need to know about the Highlander Hybrid. So we're going to take this car for a good long drive. I'll share with you everything that I think is relevant to the ownership experience of this vehicle, and at the end we'll place it in my ranking system to see where it competes against its competitors. So let's hop on in and go for a drive. So like I said at the beginning, I think this Highlander is quite a lovely machine. It's very nice to sit in, pretty good to drive, and if you have the extra $2,000 to spare, I really think you should go for the hybrid. Not only just due to the fact that you have a significant gain in fuel economy over the 3.5-litre V6, but it makes the driving experience more pleasurable. I've always found it fun being in an EV or any kind of hybrid that you can sort of gamify the experience. You can test yourself to see how long you can coast for to get the engine to shut off and get a little more electricity back into the battery pack of my regular commute to go from my house into town. It's about a 12-kilometer drive, and there's a lot of rolling hills in between, so I've yet to be successful to get a perfect pure EV drive to and from my house. And that just makes the overall experience more pleasurable. You're more engaged in driving. Now, saying all of that, the Highlander certainly isn't a sports car. There's elements to this that I think aren't up to snuff with the absolute best in class. For example, the ride is very gentle and calm, which is fantastic for regular driving, but if you ever take a corner a bit too hot or really going onto a highway, you can feel the car really lean over, and if you're hitting a bump at high speed, it really rides that motion for a while. That 2.5-litre itself produces 180 horsepower and 175 pound-feet of torque, with a net horsepower with those 2 electric motors of 243 horsepower. Torque number is strangely impossible to find. This new generation hybrid system has a nickel metal hydride battery underneath the second row seats and has the ability to tow 3,500 pounds, 1,500 less than what the 3.5-litre V6 can pull. Toyota claims that this Highlander uses something called predictive efficient drive, so it learns your driving style and the routes that you're typically driving to figure out when it's best to discharge and recharge the battery to help you out in using the least amount of fuel possible. With this 2.5-litre inline-4 engine, it's certainly a bit rattly, but as soon as you pull away your foot from the throttle, that noise quickly diminishes. The power plant in this Highlander certainly has enough push to help you overtake people or get up to highway speeds quickly, but if you really want more oomph, then other vehicles in this class will have you better covered. Driving on the highway, this thing is very quiet. There's a touch of wind whistling from the wing mirrors, not too much though. Visibility all round is okay for this class of car. I would say that the rear window is definitely a bit slimmer than its competitors. It's easy to park, it's easy to place in a lane, so really it's a very easygoing, enjoyable driving experience. There's an aspect to driving a lot of hybrids that I've mentioned countless times in all the other hybrid reviews, is that with the regenerative braking system, when you switch over to regen to the physical brakes, there's always a very strange transition that you can feel in the brake pedal. But getting behind the wheel of this and using the brakes of this Highlander, I think is the best I've experienced in any hybrid. Really, they feel absolutely no different from regular run-of-the-mill standard braking systems. Like any other of Toyota's hybrid systems, we have a dedicated EV mode, which, given the circumstances that the battery has enough charge, will really try and lock the car in pure EV driving for as long as it can. This is great for stop and go traffic where you're only lightly applying the throttle to get you moving. There's also a trail mode button directly beside it, and when you press this, it's fully engaging the rear motor to give a constant all-wheel drive, and Toyota claims you want to use this on bumpy roads or loose surfaces, so on regular day-to-day driving, I doubt you'll find any use of it. In addition to those two, as per usual, we have a Sport, Eco, and Normal mode, which you can select with this large dedicated space just for this little switch behind your shift lever. The cabin of the Highlander, even with all of these different colors and materials, I think is well integrated and nicely designed. There might be a few too many buttons going on with the climate control, but given that you're controlling the passenger, the driver, and the rear climate settings all through here as well, I think it could be worse. I like how we have the negative space that's underneath the vents and right above the glove box, where Toyota makes it convenient for you to hide away a phone. I would like to see this kind of a thing in more cars. All of the major touch points that you have in this car are padded, what feels to be synthetic leather or just very soft, nice plastic. So where my elbows rest here in the center console, and right here on the armrests, nicely padded. Where my knees knock up against the tunnel, and again, same place here on the door, nicely padded as well. All of the surfaces that look like they're stitched really are stitched together. And even though the darker brown coloring above the dashboard and on the top of the door cards is split between soft plastics and hard plastics, simply put, it's a place I will happily spend a lot of time in. Now, a few little niggles here and there. I don't think the vented seats are as strong as they could be. When you have the wireless phone charger equipped, it makes the organization of this center console a little bit strange. I think they could have redesigned this to have the wireless phone charger up here with the rest of the plugins, but oh well. And with this glossy wood that comes from plastic trees, it is very reflective, and on sunny days I found a little bit of glare that can come from the opposite door card. Moving on to the second row space, I can very happily sit behind myself. It's incredibly comfortable back there. Folding down the center armrest, you'll have a place for your cup holder. In the model I'm driving, the second row passengers have the ability to change around their climbing settings as they wish. 2 more USB plugins and a household plug-in. The Highlander remains a 7 or 8 seater vehicle. If you want to go for the top trim Platinum, that's when the middle row becomes 2 captain's chairs with a little bit of storage space in the middle of them. Those seats can slide forwards and backwards, recline a little bit too, and if you need it, you've got some sunshade protection as well. Third row space is definitely reserved for kids, and even then I think it is a bit tight in comparison to other cars in this segment. For example, the Atlas definitely has a larger third row, but they're easy to lift up and fold away. And even with those third row seats up, you still have enough space to store some things in the trunk. Folding them down, of course, opens up a lot more space, and it's nice to see that you can hide away the security cover underneath the false floor and have a little more storage given to you. You'll see other things to note back there. You've got some hooks to hang your shopping and another household plug-in. So that really puts together all of the things that I have to say in respect to this new Highlander Hybrid. Let's park up again, finish up this review so I can place this car in my ranking system. And so that wraps up all of my thoughts towards the Highlander Hybrid. quite frankly, I'm very happy with this vehicle. I think it's very competitive in this space against the really only other hybrid that we have currently, which is the Ford Explorer. Up against the other competitors in its class, I don't think it's quite as nice to drive, and it certainly isn't as spacious as some of its competitors. But quite frankly, if you aren't looking for third row comfort or second row comfort, I think you should really wait for the new Venza, which is going to be this car with a couple of inches lobbed off the back and looks even better. But talking about this vehicle here against its competitors, I think the Highlander really is a segment leader. That wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing, that helps me out a lot too. And share this video as well, if you don't mind, to someone that you think is looking to buy a new Highlander, or maybe they're in this segment and willing to spend this amount of money on a new car. Share this video with them. Hopefully it helps them out a lot too. Thanks again. Hope to see you on the channel again soon.